Hello one and all, Jasper here and just finished watching the penultimate episode and have to say, it was good. Not perfect, but good. Though like every episode so far, I've got things to complain about, so no more beating around the bush, let's get started. We pretty much pick up right where the previous episode left off as Baylor addresses the group, taking charge of the situation. Dunk and Raymond lose their lunches over their nerves, which is fair. Honestly, you kind of forget that Raymond is just as green as Dunk is. He's never done this shit before for real, and Harding laughing at them as the more seasoned knight. It's pretty fitting. We also get Beesbury's only line in the series, which, to be fair, I think is about the same as he got in the books. It's kind of a shame they cut one of Baylor's plans. Instead of using war lances, they used tourney lances, which are longer and thus would allow them to strike against the enemy before being reached themselves. It's not super relevant, but as a book purist, it's my job to complain about these things. At least the bits I care to remember, though I will say, this does come up again in a future book, so aka a possible future season. So we'll see how they handle that when it comes around. We get a lovely moment where Dunk threatens to hunt down Egg with dogs. Yeah, I know that doesn't sound good, but it's the same threat he did earlier in the season, so in this instance, it's endearing. And Dunk throwing out a wolf as well, just adorable. They line up to prepare as the Septon gives a prayer and... Hold on a second. Is that a woman? Not in my medieval fantasy show. Or wait, is that a young man? Regardless, women are not allowed to be septons, but they can be septas. That sounds like a simple gender difference term like actor and actress, but there are different roles for the professions. You would expect a septon to pray like this, but not a septa, as their duties fall more into educating noble ladies how to read, write, and act like a proper lady. I do believe they can actually take confessions as well, which would mean they have more influence and jobs than real nuns can, at least compared to Catholic nuns. Fuck, I legit hope it's a woman now, or I'm going to feel like such a dick. We get some bombastic music. The charge begins. Dunk is too panicked to go in for it, but thankfully Egg shouts a command to get Thunder riding. He misses his lance, allowing Arion to strike through his shield and pierce his gut, which Dunk pulls out. Bit of advice here, my medical knowledge is limited, but 9 times out of 10, I believe it's actually safer to keep whatever is stabbed into your body inside your body until a professional can deal with it, alright? Arion charges in with his flail, knocks Dunk off his horse, hitting the ground in silence, as we get a flashback. Not surprised by this, no way they'd be able to fill the entire episode with the fight. Would I have liked it? Hell yeah. But I'm a violent psychopath who thinks Battle of the Five Armies is the best movie in the Hobbit trilogy because it has the most action in it. But of course they would use this moment to expand on Dunk, which is great because we know very, very little about Dunk's past, and this is where the show goes wild, expanding on things we get little to nothing about in the books. We see Dunk taking the horseshoes off a dead horse and is surprised by a man, most likely a knight, still alive. His first instinct is to smother the bastard. That is, until Rafe tells him to stop, since they might be able to ransom the guy. Rafe is pretty much a show-only character. There is a character named Rafe mentioned in the books, but there's basically nothing to go by. And I think the character might have been a boy, but it's such a nothing character you can do whatever the hell you want with them. I couldn't care less. Now, they are clearly looting a battlefield near King's Landing. Now, we really only know of one battle that took place during this rebellion, that being the first Blackfire Rebellion, and the battle was the Red Grass Field, which was close to King's Landing, and it would have to be that battle, presumably because they talk about how the Black Dragon died, which is Daemon Blackfire, who was the leader of this rebellion and died on the Red Grass Field. Now, this is a little fucky with the times that are set in the books, as actually Dunk runs into Arlen 4 years after this battle. We know this because Arlen lost his squire and nephew during said battle. But that's not a big deal. I don't think it's super crazy that Arlen would be in King's Landing having a drink because he just lost his squire and nephew. Lord knows I would do the same in his shoes. Now, Dunk and Rafe head back to King's Landing, have a little chit-chat, almost get robbed by a gold cloak, but slip away, nicking his drink pouch. Apparently they finally saved up to take a boat to the Free Cities, which, good luck with that, you dumb little shits. King's Landing is rough, but at least you can speak the language. How the fuck are you going to get around in a shit city across the ocean without being able to talk to anyone? Sadly though, despite saving up their coins, where they think they have enough to sail across the sea, turns out prices have doubled. Now in that moment when they said doubled, I thought Rafe was going to one way or another be on that ship and leave Dunk behind. Obviously that didn't happen though, as they're confronted by the Gold Cloak who she stole from. He decides to take their coins as recompense for what they took from him, but in this little exchange she takes his dagger. Now you think she would use that to stab him, but nope. Properly, she just walks off with him, he notices it, comes up behind her and slits her throat. Dunk fights the man but gets his ass kicked until Arlen comes to save the day, killing the two men before stumbling off. Dunk eventually becomes a stalker and follows behind Arlen. Why? Don't know, and apparently Arlen had no idea Dunk was following him until he sees him fall down dying from lack of food, water, hypothermia, and possibly an infected leg. I kinda sprinted through all this because I'll be honest, I kinda felt like I wasted my time. Don't get me wrong, it was entertaining, but I think it would have been better to expand on Arlen rather than Dunk's relationship with a character that only kind of exists in the books. We didn't need Arlen as well, drunkenly singing Dothraki. Maybe they're saving it for future seasons, but right now, I'm a little annoyed at this flashback. At the very least, what we got could have been immensely chopped down. After this flashback, we get to the fight, which is going to be quick because it's pretty damn good, but I, of course, have my issues. The first is that we spend too much time with Dunk. Look, I know they had to expand on the fight because the books are about 3 minutes of fighting, so obviously they need to put some meat on the bones, and they do, by focusing on Dunk and Arion, which I don't hate, but that is really all they do for the most part. We get a couple quick cuts, other engagements, but it's literally just for seconds. I want to see the Fossaway cousins properly duking it out. I want to see Robin taking on a member of the Kingsguard. I want to see Baelor taking advantage of him being a prince against the other members of the Kingsguard since they can't hit him. I want to hear Lionel laugh as he fights. He's the fucking laughing storm. I want to see Darren get knocked off his horse and just stay in the mud pretending. We have all of these characters and moments to expand on, but we're so focused on just Dunk. I know the show is through Dunk's perspective, but I think the show would benefit to take some notes from the original Game of Thrones and having scenes where you don't need a point of view character from the books to be prevalent. Dunk and Egg are not needed for every single scene. Also, let's be real here. It makes no sense that Arion doesn't just walk over and make sure Dunk is dead when he's passed out for a solid minute or so. But still, we have great moments. I love Maekar screaming "my boy" as Lionel and Baelor stand in his way. Dunk dragging Arion by his foot, and while I do kinda prefer the book version where Dunk rather easily manhandles Arion, making more of an actual fight in the show is a given and was bloody brutal. After forcing Arion to yield and withdraw his accusation, Dunk wins. He's fucked up and learns about what happened to other teammates, mainly the Humphrey brothers who are both dead. Baelor saves his life by telling Pate it's boiling wine that should be used to clean a wound, not boiling oil. Dude is missing a part of his brain and is still smarter than all these chucklefucks. Oh yeah, Baelor in his completely different helmet? I'll have my editor throw an image from the previous episode and this one, but I think that is legit a different helmet. Yeah, he talks about his visor being cracked and whatnot, but I ain't buying that shit.
Guess there's been a continuity error.
Anyways, the helmet is removed and we see the damage that is done to Baelor, and he falls over. Yeah, some of you might be going, "Oh, he could be alive." Nah, he's dead, just like my grandma. Even went out the same way. He falls into Dunk, who catches him, begging him to get up, yet he does not rise. And that's the end of the episode. I've made it clear I have my issues, but it's still an entertaining ride. The show is definitely not a 9 out of 10, I keep seeing all the reviews going off, but I'd still give it a solid 7 or 8. Looking forward to the last episode. Though as always, until then, be safe, and I hope you all have a wonderful night.